Hey St. Louis, Lauren with Sauce Magazine here, and this week's guest is bartender extraordinaire Tim Wiggins. So, Tim, why don't you tell our listeners about your impressive credentials?
Yes. So it started at Small Batch,
Oh,
where I know vegetarian whiskey place,
yeah. What year was that?
2013, I believe.
Okay.
I'd been at Bailey's Range before. I got asked
Oh,
to open Small Batch
okay.
as like on the initial team,
Gotcha.
which I was like 21, 22. I had really no business doing it, but Dave Bailey gave me an opportunity. And so I think it worked out for both sides.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I met my wife there,
Okay.
lifelong friends there. It was really wonderful. And then the general manager at Bailey's Range was like, "Hey, I'm gonna open retreat. Will you do it with me?" And
Okay.
so we became friends and business partners and did retreat with kind of like, hope this works, very low expectations. And it worked. And
Yeah.
it's still doing really well. And so we did that. And then a couple years later, it was like, all right, let's go big. Let's do something really exciting that we think is fresh and new. And then we
Mm-hmm.
opened Yellowbelly.
So good.
And then 2 years later, Lazy Tiger. And now it's been 7 years since Yellowbelly, 5 years since Lazy Tiger that we're about to open Extra Wavy.
Yeah. Tell us about that.
So Extra Wavy is a American restaurant that's like seafood focused. It has a raw
Okay.
bar, but it also is just a really fun neighborhood restaurant. And so we're really inspired by things we're seeing throughout the country, around the world. I like to travel and just like see what the coasts are doing, see what is kind of like popping in other places,
Okay.
and kind of get inspiration of like, what do I think St. Louis is missing and like wanting. And we've been looking at Lafayette Square and the area around it because we love that neighborhood.
Yeah.
Um, and just looking for a place that has like a neighborhood identity and to be a place that feels like the people that live there walk in and feel comfortable and welcome, but that also people can come from the county or wherever
Yeah.
and experience it.
It's my old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
Did you see people popping off in the comments about whether that's Lafayette Square or
It's
not?
highly debatable. Yes.
Yeah,
It was funny because when we were signing the lease, there was this talk like it's technically downtown
I
West, but it also is Lafayette Square, and I was like, who cares? A lot of people care. A lot of
they
people
do.
are
Why did they
very,
care?
because I don't know why, I think anyone will comment anything on,
Right.
on Facebook to make sure people think they're
They just want to
right.
argue.
Yes. But I think also, it's like the way people think about different areas and districts in St. Louis. People put things in boxes.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the more challenging things about the neighborhoods in St. Louis. It's like the Grove has this, Central West End has this, and I like to see that just kind of become a little bit more diverse.
I know. Anyway. Got to talk about the comments. Okay, so you said you're looking for like what people are doing on the coast. So you want to bring that here. What kind of stuff?
Yeah, I think it's like, we did some like a New York trip and just like I just see things that people are doing. I think it's exciting. I think that food can be, it's like a lot of times it's done in these more fine dining settings, more casual settings, and I think it's fun to go, to travel, to experience things and see like, okay, how do we mash up all of our favorite things into one space and make it make sense?
Okay.
That was a lot of the ethos at Retreat was like, we see these 10 places doing these things really well. We're inspired by them. But at the time, 10 years ago, there wasn't a lot of like high-end cocktails and good food together. It was like you
Yeah.
got cocktails here and then food here. And so I think with Extra Wavy, we want this like East Coast oyster bar smashed up against this like coastal European restaurant that has this kind of juxtaposition of old meets new. The
Okay.
building is like over 150 years old,
So
but
cool.
it's everything else in it is brand new. So it's this really cool play to like old school style food, but also with like an extra wavy twist. And so using
Gotcha.
extra wavy is this way to describe like new and fun and a little bit outside the box.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I know you're the cocktail guy. So
Mhm.
do you have a heavy hand in the food development as well?
So yeah, the chefs that we have are incredible. And luckily their ego is very small because it's a lot of me being just
Really?
like it's wild. Like our executive chef Ben is like the least chef you've ever met. Like
Huh.
he never really speaks above like a calm tone.
Okay.
He's organized. He is so patient, and I'm
Nice.
usually sending him like pictures and ideas and like, hey, what about this? What about this? And then like 2 days later, he'll respond and be like, I have something for you to taste. Like I digested what you said, and here's a cool version of it. And so
Nice.
it's very collaborative, but also I like to give them autonomy to like, it's
Yeah.
like an idea always starts somewhere and then evolves somewhere totally different.
Okay.
And so this has been the most collaborative menu we've ever done because we
Okay.
have like a pastry chef and baker, and we have both of our sous chefs and our executive chef. So they've been working on the menu for 6-7 months now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one.
Yes, me too.
So are you doing the entire bar program?
Yeah, it's fun because this is also a little bit new for me. Am with my consulting have so many cocktail menus that I've been doing.
Yeah.
And have kind of wrote a bit of the way I like to work is like I write like a blueprint for the cocktails, the ideas, the framework, and then just like option 1, 2, and 3 of how I want to taste it, and
Okay.
then come to like and try to finalize. And so I've tasked Seth, our general manager at Yellowbelly, with kind of taking my framework and turning it into the finalized cocktails at Extra Wavy. And so
Okay.
Seth has been doing cocktails for forever.
Really?
And is unbelievably smart. And he was making real cocktails 15 years ago when it was like very much so new for St. Louis.
Okay.
And so he understands flavor and balance. And it's fun because I can say, hey, here's the framework. You take it to the next level. And then we meet together and kind of put the finishing touches on it.
Nice.
And so it has lots of fingerprints on it, but also it always ends up the end product is like something that I didn't exactly envision.
Okay.
And the same thing with him. It's like somewhere in between.
Okay.
And I think it's a really cool collaboration.
That's awesome.
Historically, that's something I'm not super great at. I like to have,
What do you mean?
I just like to have like 100% control of like
yeah.
every step of
I
it.
get that.
And I'm learning to lean on the really, really awesome people I have so that
Yeah.
I don't, live in an echo chamber.
Okay. So what is your cocktail background? Like, were you trained in this?
When I was put in the position at Small Batch, it was kind of like, you don't know what you're doing, but you're not dumb and you're willing to work a lot.
Okay.
And so I just read every cocktail book over and over and had the autonomy to just try things. So I was ordering things, trying this with this paired with this, these 3 things together, and like just tons of trial and error. Lots
Okay.
of, does this work? Why does it not work? Trying to research, okay, are people using these things together? Is this new or is this just like recycled? And so it very much so self-taught. I didn't have a like mentor or someone who was
Okay.
showing me things. I kind of had these like far away mentors that I was just like following what they were doing, reading their books, reading blogs. And so I feel like, I hear people say like, oh, they have mentors through podcasts. So like they've never met them, but like they follow
Okay.
them, they read their books. And so I
Sure.
kind of did a bit of that of like, there were these bartenders in New York and San Francisco, and I was just super inspired by what they were doing.
Okay.
And so I would visit their place and just like soak up as much knowledge as I could.
Cool. I tried to replicate sort of what you're doing at home. It's not the same. It's just not.
I think that's definitely my goal, is to make it to where the cocktails at my places that you like are not super easy to make at home, because
No.
that's part of the magic of going somewhere and thinking like, wow, like I can't, this would be obnoxious for me to make
Yeah.
at home. And so therefore
There's
I'm
no
going to
way.
go just pay someone to make it for me.
So, like, I feel like you're really good at tiki cocktails. Is that
Mhm.
kind of your wheelhouse? Is that
I think like punchy, bold, tropical flavors are definitely in my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
But I also, I like savory. I like
okay?
bitter. I like, juicy and dry in the same cocktail. So I like flavors that like pair, but also contrast in a way that like the first second of flavor versus the fourth second of flavor like evolves and changes.
Yeah,
I just think cocktails that are like really linear can be very boring, and like,
agreed.
you're like, oh, I don't have a problem with it, but like, I
Meh.
don't necessarily want to drink another one.
Yeah.
I think it's like
Same.
trying to figure out like what is that thing that is addictive, that is like that you crave in a cocktail.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of times that's like salt and
Yeah.
dryness.
Like that watermelon one I had at the 360 Westport.
Yes.
Was so good.
Awesome. Yeah, I think that finding ways to incorporate textures and flavors that are not like, you're not going to drink it and be like, oh, I taste this prominently, but it's like tertiary flavors
Yeah.
that just allow it to not just taste like tequila and juice, and
Right.
kind of add
Well, I
nuance.
think what you do really well is the juicy yet dry. And I think that's
Hmm.
so hard because I like a little bit of fruity flavor, but I don't
Hmm.
want it to be too sweet, not too
Yes.
cloying. So,
Yes.
how do you find that balance?
I think that finding that balance is by like taking the cocktail like an accordion and like opening it up, because they're
Okay.
sweet, they're sour, they're strong. And so when you look at those simple sour cocktails, you're like, okay, so there's a juicy element, there's a sweet element, there's a sour element, and there's a strong element. If you have all of those, you can find balance. But I think they're like, I kind of like to open it up and see like, okay, but in between those layers, how do you stack it to where you taste them cohesively, but also separately?
Yeah.
It's like you don't want all of the flavor up front and then you swallow and you're like, okay, that was it. That was fine.
Yeah.
And so with fortified wines, with salt
Mm,
infused bitters,
yeah.
um, with modifiers that can add like, that aren't affecting the sweet and sour balance. So like Amontillado sherry is one of my favorites,
Ah, yes.
and I use it in a lot of cocktails.
Okay.
But it's cool because it doesn't affect the sweet and sour balance like like a liqueur or like most things are going to,
Okay.
and you don't taste that specific. You're not going to drink it and say that tastes like Amontillado sherry. You're going to taste it and you're like, ooh, that is like, I taste more flavor. It's a little bit bigger. It's more opened up, and it has more depth of flavor. And I think it allows the watermelon to taste more like watermelon, allows the citrus to not be so sharp. And so it kind of
Interesting.
like just opens up layers in the cocktail that allow it to
Okay.
taste better without being like an identifiable ingredient.
Very cool. I've seen that on your ingredient list,
Mhm.
and I've never really. What does that taste like on its own?
It has like this lightly lemony almond like
Ooh, okay.
tartness, but it also has a lot of depth. That has like some like leather and like a lot of like,
Leather.
yeah, it has like this like woody roundness that with aged spirits allows the heat of the spirit to just be toned down a little bit. Like if you do a whiskey sour, but you split the whiskey with the Amontillado sherry, it lowers the ABV of the cocktail but keeps the flavor high. And so that's what I'm
Okay.
looking at of like when the alcohol percentage of the cocktail is too high, it really makes the balance difficult. And it
Yeah.
makes it to where you're like, okay, this margarita is like sweet, then sour, and now I taste tequila, but like
Yeah.
not a whole lot else going on. And so when you put the sherry or the Blanc vermouth or Madeira and these fortified
Mm.
wines in there, it allows like air and like space to breathe between flavors, but
Okay.
also kind of like binds the flavors together is how I see it. So I see it a lot
Interesting.
uh, like music waves of like you need some high, you need some low, but you need mids to bridge those two,
I see.
because like if your syrup is low and your citrus is high and your alcoholic spirit is like somewhere in between, you just need more filler in there.
Okay.
Otherwise it's hard for the cocktail to for you to fully taste it.
Sure. Interesting. Are you a music guy too?
Yes, yeah, I'm a drummer.
Oh,
If I could be doing if I wasn't doing what I'm currently doing and I could choose, it would be playing drums.
really? What
Yeah.
kind of music?
It's funny because the music I listen to and I like to play drums to are just quite different, and I found that to be one of the more challenging things in music is that
Oh,
I love like the band I was in, whatever, 12 years ago was like indie folk and with a little bit
okay.
of math rock and was like
All
really,
right.
really fun and energetic. Um, but I didn't really like listening to that music. And so I found
Huh.
this like little bit of issue between the band I wanted to be in and the music I actually like to listen to.
Which is
I really like funky world music. So I
okay.
like very rhythmic driven,
Yeah.
and I think that like mostly I'm into like the rhythms and polyrhythms and
Okay.
how sound like fits together.
Yeah.
And so that's not necessarily like a band that you can just join and like
Sure.
have
Yeah.
pay you money.
Yeah. That's tricky. Got to get paid.
Yeah, and so I
I,
was like, if I could be in a band that actually made money, it's probably too poppy for what I would be
I
interested
see.
in.
Yeah. That's tough. Well, luckily the cocktail thing seems to be working out.
It seems to be working out. Yeah, I like
Okay.
it.
Now tell us about your consulting company.
Yeah, so Bangers Only was kind of born out of this um I wanted to take what I had learned over the last 10 plus years and kind of just help programs be more efficient make more money, be more consistent, because I think that consistency and efficiency are like more important than how things taste in a lot of ways.
Well, yeah.
And I think that obviously you want them to taste good,
Yeah.
but when something tastes awesome 1 out of 5 times, like that's kind of worst case scenario.
Yeah.
And so I think that if something is like 9 out of 10 every time, like much better than it
Yeah.
sometimes being 10 out of 10.
Okay.
And so looking at the programs and saying, hey, you know, we're in a world post COVID where like bar managers are like few and far between.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's like paying that person to do all the creative, but then
Yeah.
also work behind the bar. It's just tough to find that right person
Yeah.
because, you know, creatives oftentimes don't want to be locked into a schedule and the monotony
Right.
of doing the thing. And so to say, hey, why don't I come up with the cocktails, spend a lot of time R&D in them, train the staff on them, you know, get people to where they're confident describing these and, you know, talking about why the ingredients are in there.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows the clients I work with to have like a dynamic, fun, modern menu
Yeah.
without having someone on payroll that's just like constantly tinkering
Yeah.
with cocktails.
And now a word from our sponsor, LHM, which has several amazing properties around town, including Westport Plaza and Union Station. Union Station just debuted 3 new rides, which are perfect for a fun family outing. They also just launched their Pirates and Pumpkins event at the aquarium, which is so fun to bring your kids to, and that'll be running now until November 2nd. Now back to the episode. So where can people find your cocktails around town that aren't your own spot?
Yeah. So LHM has 360 Westport,
Right?
Basso 360,
Okay.
Westport Social. I do the pop-up menus for them as well. So they have like up
Really
on the
good.
rooftop. Thank
Yeah.
you. And I did the one at Train Shed at Union Station. Retreat. I'm still doing their menu. I have a new
Okay.
menu for them coming out in the next like 3 or 4 weeks. I'm super excited about.
Fun. Okay.
And then I'm doing a speakeasy menu that should launch
Oh,
in like a
yes.
month or so.
Prohibition
Yeah.
down by Extra Wavy.
Yes, which is super exciting. The cocktails are awesome. It's
Yeah.
like I think like a very New York style bar is just
Okay.
really it's one of my favorite type of bar to go to.
It looks like it's going to be cool.
It's gonna be cool,
Yeah.
and to me, it's like I don't know. It sounds it's like real cocktails. And
Yeah.
I know that like that maybe sounds annoying, but like traditional classic driven cocktails that are
Okay.
not about a bunch of homemade frou-frou, which like
Okay.
I love frou-frou. I'm all
Me too.
about the homemade frou-frou. But I think that it's just like this very pure way to look at cocktails and say, hey, the way we balance them, the way we're doing this is like we're not breaking ground with anything.
Okay.
But what is groundbreaking about it is that there's very few places in the city to get great cocktails.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. That'll be a fun evening. Extra Wavy
Yeah.
for dinner. Stop by the speakeasy afterward.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I know what I'm doing in a few weeks. Okay. Well, can you tell us kind of your ethos, like how you make your cocktails?
Yeah. You know, I always a lot of them are food inspired or like dual ingredient inspired of like
Mm.
I want these 2 flavors that I think either pair well together or contrast well together or just like interesting and like how do I bridge the gap in these flavors? How do I make these flavors like nostalgic but new? And so I think a lot about like the cocktails have to be evocative. You have to like drink it and not just think, okay, yeah, that's a cocktail. That's these ingredients. It tastes like these things. I think that what's exciting to me about cocktails is it should evoke a memory or a you know, it's like it should smell like something that you're like, oh man, that smelled like these lemon ice with the wooden spoon that I
Okay.
used to have. And so trying to find what are nostalgic flavors to people, what are pairings that you associate with a time, a place, and kind of like how do you take that and smash it into something else, you know? And so I think that whether that's like okay, this orange Julius, like coconut orange, you know, vanilla, like
Yeah.
here's this flavor profile. But what if that was, you know, remixed into this package? And like I think that
Okay.
this works, but you're like, oh, I've never had this, but it looks like this.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what's fun for me is like creating cocktails that are playful and
Yeah.
cheeky and not overly serious or heady.
No, do they need to be?
They
No.
don't need
Yeah.
to be. Cocktails should be fun.
I think
They
so.
should be playful. It's like what we're doing. The production behind it is very serious, but I think cocktails should be easy. Like you should read it. You should know what you're gonna get. It should be that plus more. I think there should be one mysterious ingredient. I think that if it's
Okay.
obvious, it's like, yeah, uh, whatever. That I'm sure it tastes like that, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
that's not always bad. But to me, I want there to be mystery or intrigue or like
Yeah.
5 out of those I understand. This one, I don't know how that's gonna play. And when you get it, you're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I get it." Like that, that's reminiscent of this thing.
That's a good way to ease people into learning about new ingredients without overwhelming
Totally.
them.
Yeah, because people are willing to be adventurous when they are first comfortable. And I think
Sure.
that if you ask people to order something that they don't understand and make it difficult, they're going to default to the thing on the menu they do understand.
Sure.
And so there needs to be a balance of, okay, I can understand the framework of a margarita. So when you tell me it has carrot in it, you're like, okay, yeah, salty things in margaritas make sense. This is a savory like vegetable juice. That's like things are connecting,
Yeah.
instead of just reading a list of ingredients and being like, I don't know what I'm getting.
Well, you kind of describe the cocktails on your menus, don't
hmm
you?
Yeah, I started doing that years ago of like just kind of the way I think about it is like one sentence of like you take a sip and someone's like, how's your cocktail? What are you gonna say? And especially from like a bartender's point of view, like, oh, it's like an orange Julius meets painkiller. And you're like, oh, okay, I get that. Because bartenders read menus and they're connecting all these dots.
Yeah.
I can read most anyone's menu and be like, okay, I see what you did. You took a paper plane, but you subbed to this and you're doing it kind of like a French 75. It's like, but I
Okay.
think the general public doesn't have 300 cocktails in their
No,
catalog.
they don't.
And so they're just like, I don't know what to expect with this.
Yeah.
I hope I like it.
Yeah.
And I think that managing those expectations is big. Along with consistency, one of the most important things to me is if you get something that you do like, but you were expecting something else, it's really hard for you to like love that thing.
Right.
And I think that when you can understand what glass it's going to be in, you can understand the framework,
Mm-hmm.
you can just more accurately get the cocktail that works for
Right.
you because these cocktails are like people and personalities.
Yeah.
And like there are people that I want to be around on the weekends and there's people I don't want to be around on the weekends and there's people that have different personalities and different energies and I think that it's about connecting the personality to what that person's looking for.
Yeah.
And you could come in and get just the wrong 2 cocktails and
Yeah.
you could leave and you're like people like that place, but I didn't really like the
Right.
cocktails. And had you gotten 2 other cocktails, you could be raving about it
Totally.
because everyone's taste and everyone's perception of balance is different
Yeah.
and everyone's palate is unique. And so I think that it's what we do on the service side of making sure we do everything we can to like pair that cocktail with what that person is really looking for.
Yeah.
And lots of people come in and are just like open,
Right.
but there's also people that come in and say, yeah, I like cocktails, but like this is like $14, $15 and I want to
They
like
all
it.
are
Like
now.
it's everything is so expensive
Yeah.
that there's an $11 cocktail. You're like, yeah, we'll check it out.
That's a deal.
It is, and it used to be that $11 was like high end
I
in St.
know.
Louis cocktails, and
It's
now
changed.
you see vodka based cocktails for 16.
It's insane.
It's a shame, I think, because the cocktails should be accessible. They should
Yeah.
be fun. They shouldn't be only for people who can afford $16 cocktails.
Yeah. It's tough.
Because you see that it's like, oh, I want to have this fun thing. Maybe I'll have one, and then I'll do a beer,
Mhm.
And I think that like we're doing the pricing for Extra Wavy right now and looking at, okay, well, all these places are charging these prices, but like I think that sucks that you're charging this price
I
for this. And
know.
so are we gonna be a part of that? Or are we gonna say, hey, look, like if you make them correctly and you cost them correctly, like they don't need to be more than $14. Like they really don't.
That's good.
And I look at it of like the cocktail ingredients, like the alcoholic ingredients, are where you can be smart and say, look, like this gin is excellent in cocktails. I don't need a $40 gin to make a good cocktail.
Right.
This
Yeah.
$20 bottle of gin makes excellent
Right.
cocktails, and you can charge this price, and you can have 2 or 3 of them instead of feeling like, okay, we each had a cocktail and 2 small plates, and we spent $120.
I know.
And so I just think a lot about it because I put myself in that seat, and I'm like, as a consumer, it feels limiting,
It
to
is.
take a risk on a $16 cocktail that you don't really know what you're gonna get. And
Right.
as soon as you get it, now what? You tell them you don't love it?
I
Because
know.
the
It's
difference
so
between not
hard.
loving it and like it being bad is there's a large gap
Yeah,
between that,
it's true.
and so I'm very, very mindful that people get what they want.
Yeah.
And like a lot of times we, the service people, are doing that work to make sure we're asking the right questions and guiding them in the right way. Because
Yeah.
I would just hate for someone to come in and say, you know, I went to Extra Wavy, I got a cocktail. I didn't like it. It was too sweet. And it's like, well, there's
Mhm.
one sweet cocktail on the menu. And if
Okay.
you ordered it without knowing it was going to be sweet, it probably is too sweet for you.
Right.
And so I just think that that's a lot of what we're doing.
Well, yeah, and I don't see that a lot where most menus do not describe the cocktail. So I
Mhm.
think that that's a really great thing that you do.
Yeah.
Definitely keep that up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think places, it was like this very bartender centric thing to have cocktails have like lots of ingredients, make
Yeah.
things sound very complicated. And I think that we're moving out of a world where you have to have studied cocktails to know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like I would rather list the main flavor that is in this liqueur
Yeah.
than like the 6 words that this liqueur is named.
Yeah. Like if you want to read the 6 words, you can, but
You
like just
can.
tell me what this is going to taste like.
Exactly.
Okay. So I got to ask, I feel like you probably have like 100 cocktails at all your different spots. I mean, do you have like a long list that you reference and rotate in and out, or are you always coming up with new stuff?
I think the challenge to continue to invent is becoming, it can become difficult, but
Yeah.
that's where like inspiration and like I like to put myself in small boxes so that I can be more inspired and create. Whereas like if it's open, it's just like create 6 cocktails. Worst case scenario for me, So like working on this menu with Retreat, and that's how I used to do them when I was there. Is like I need a theme, a framework. I hate
Okay.
seasonality as far
Oh,
as the
do
theme.
you?
I just think it's like, here are spring cocktails. There's gin. There's green. There's these things.
Okay.
It's like, it's not a food menu.
Okay.
These seasonal ingredients can be peak or great. Like I'm not saying seasonality like doesn't have a place, but in
Okay.
my mind, like I like daiquiris in the winter. I like old
Okay.
fashions in the summer. I don't want
Oh.
brown cocktails in the fall and green cocktails in the spring. I want
Huh.
like a fully balanced menu that like hopefully it's not 95 degrees in your restaurant during the summer and I don't feel like I have to have a frozen cocktail. And so I just like to have that variety again, like this like group of people that you're like, this menu is this like group of people that have different identities, that have different energies, that all work together and are cohesive.
Okay.
And I'm introducing you to all of them. And now you get to pick and choose who you want to hang out with. And
Cool.
so I have templates, but also I'm doing this like outer space themed menu for Retreat. And it's like, now you're thinking, okay, well, what does outer space look like? What does it smell like? What do
Yeah.
people associate with outer space? What are some like fringe things that people associate with astronauts? And like, what did astronauts eat when they were in outer space? And so
Oh my.
I find a lot of inspiration in getting very narrow on what the cocktail
Okay.
menu is. And so a lot of times it's like, okay, I'm inspired by these dance moves. So what are some dance moves? And now if I was doing this dance move, what does this remind me of? Okay, well, this blender. Okay, well,
What?
like what goes in a blender? So trying to just like, at least that's how
Okay.
my mind works, is like create these themes in these boxes. And a lot of times the theme is not communicated to the guest or the menu. Like that's not what's
Oh,
important.
okay.
To me, it's like trying to create new things when you have so many templates and so much framework in your mind. And it's
Yeah.
hard to break it because you're like, well, there's going to be a margarita style cocktail on the menu. So like there needs to be an agave spirit in it. There needs to be a citrus. There needs to be like one modifier, but like, and you're like, it just is so boring.
Yeah.
It becomes, you're just iterating, tiny differences between cocktails you've had or you've seen.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to know more about these dance move cocktails.
Yeah.
Can you explain this?
Yes, there's a cocktail on Westport 360's menu called Rodeo Shuffle. And it was this like Kentucky Buck, which is like a ginger beer
Mhm.
and whiskey style cocktail
Okay.
that had some like Western, Americana theme. But also I'm like, okay, so you're at a place and you're doing this like rodeo shuffle. Like, what does it look like? What does it taste like?
Okay.
What's the vibe of this like, this like handsome cowboy doing a dance?
Wow.
And so I like to assign personalities and people to the cocktail and try to just like really get in the place of like, who is this cocktail? What does it feel like? What does it taste like? Is it a little salty? Is it a little tart? Is it a little bit like strange at first, but the more you get into it, you're like, oh man, I actually really like this.
Yeah.
So I think about like certain cocktails need to have complexity, like a lot of complexity, and certain ones you're like, if that tastes like what it reads like, sign me up, keep
Right.
them coming.
Yeah.
So I think there's a place for that, like, the friend that's just not picky, that
Yeah.
you're like, oh, that sounds good. And they're like, have you had the cocktails here? I love them. And you're like, you're so easy. Like, this is great. So and then yeah, so it like breakdancing. So I always this is maybe how I teach myself things is I create a theme based on cocktails and then I learn a bunch about things that I would never have known about dance
Like
moves like
breakdancing.
breakdancing. And then I'm watching breakdancing videos trying to learn breakdancing vernacular because I think that the slang used within uh different subsets is fascinating to me. And so,
Okay.
like during this toxic spill menu at Lazy Tiger,
Ah,
the idea was this like kind of dangerous neon sub, like underground menu that felt like there was grit and there was danger, but there was also just like delicious.
yeah.
And so a lot of that was okay. Well, there's going to be this graffiti kind of inspired cocktail that's like if
Okay.
an aviation cocktail
Mm.
was smashed into a graffiti artist, like what could that look like, smell like, taste like? And now, what are words that graffiti artists use for like to communicate things? And so I'm like deep diving on Reddit threads of like,
Okay.
slang used in the graffiti community.
You're really immersing yourself.
I feel like it's how that's what's fun about it to me
Yeah.
is like
Okay.
cocktails in and of themselves. I don't care that much about. It's like
Okay.
just hey, here's a cocktail. Are you excited about that?
If
No,
it's
if
good.
it's good, that's great. But like I need there to be more. I need there to be
Yeah.
a story. I need to know why this and not this. I need it to matter. And like I said, even if the guest is not feeling that, I
Yeah.
think the thoughtfulness that goes behind it is what makes cocktails craft cocktails versus cocktails.
For sure.
And I think there are lots of cocktails, and I think what I'm excited about is like the craft cocktails.
Right. Me too. What are you drinking these days?
Negronis, pretty much.
Of course.
Uh,
Did you see the cover?
I did.
Have you had that one?
At the one at Gin Room.
The Gin Room, the
I
double standard?
I have not.
You have to go try it
I will go.
immediately. It's
I
very
had a
good.
Negroni at Planner's house last night.
Oh,
It was wonderful.
okay.
Um, that's the beauty of a Negroni, like proportions, the bitter in it, the gin in it, switch them all up. I still love it.
Yeah.
Um, don't put Blanc vermouth in it.
Don't do that.
Please stop
Okay.
doing that. Places do that. People are scared of Campari. Don't be scared of Campari.
Why?
Because they're like, it's too bitter. People aren't going to like it. And to me, a Negroni is not a universally well-loved cocktail
No.
because it's a polarizing cocktail. And it's why the people that love it, and the people that hate it, hate it. And I think that there's a place for cocktails that are not for everyone.
Sure.
I think that if all your cocktails are for everyone, you lose identity. You lose someone falling in love with a cocktail because you're like, yeah, I think anyone would like this.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But I love cocktails that are like unapologetically like, this
Mhm.
is bitter. This is strong.
Yeah.
This has good sweetness. So Negronis, if the lime juice is fresh, I love a daiquiri.
It has to be fresh.
It has to. And there's lots of shortcuts and things can be easy and easier, but is like that's not what I'm in the interest of.
Sure.
And like things need to be streamlined,
Yeah.
but the shortcuts cannot be taken on the product in the glass.
Yeah. Definitely not. Okay. All right. Well, what do you like to do when you're not making cocktails?
I love hanging out with my family. I have an awesome almost 7-year-old.
Wow.
And I think we spending time together. We live in the Central West End. We go for
Oh,
walks.
nice. Okay.
Trying to be outside. If I could be outside every day, all day, that's what I would do.
Oh,
And so
okay.
with winter coming,
Ugh, so
I'm like,
depressing.
trying to figure out how to not
I know. I'm
be
with
depressed
you.
about that.
I know it's hard.
But I don't know. The team I have at the restaurants is amazing, and like I find that I don't have a ton of time for like friends unless I work with them.
I know.
And so it's why I'm just really, really lucky and fortunate to have people that I'm like, I learn things from the people that work for me that I genuinely feel like we work together
Yeah.
because Seth, the general manager, I learn from every day. Colleen, our SOM, another manager I learn from constantly, the kitchen teams. It's like, that's the thing that gets me the most motivated and excited is the people I get to work with are just awesome at what they do and
Good.
like better than me at so many things. And
Nice.
so I like to just be like, the thing you're great at, you do that. I'm going to do my thing. It's all going to complement each other. And so, yeah, I don't have a ton of time outside of cocktails and the restaurants, but
Yeah.
when I'm there, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like I get to do it.
If you can say that, and I think you're winning at life.
I think so. I think that I walk in to the restaurants every day and I'm like, oh my God, I love this place. I love these
Good.
people. Yes, if someone would pay me money for me to play drums, that'd be like the only other thing I could be
You're
doing.
like, roll call.
But also I think that, yeah, I feel like I get to do like the best job.
Very cool. Well, we're so excited to check out Extra Wavy.
Thank
That
you.
might be opening about the time this airs.
Oh yes, I'm
So
I'm hoping we are so
we'll
close.
stay in touch.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thank you.